right. There we go. Hi, Mike. All right. I am going to go ahead. We're just about there. So I'm going to go ahead and announce the show. Are you ready, Mike S. Michael?
See.
Hello and welcome back to Unfiltered Real Talk with Christine and S. Michael, otherwise known as Mike. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. How are you, darling?
I'm okay. Still sick. Still a little sick. Well, I'm not sick. I'm
You
not, but I
look
have.
fantastic. I can't tell that you're sick.
No, thank
I wish I
you.
looked like that when I was sick. I wish I looked like that when I was not sick.
You're sweet. You might be biased.
Maybe, possibly.
Yeah. No, I'm really not sick, but I do have a cough. So excuse me if I cough. I'm sorry. Um, I'm going to go to the doctors tomorrow and see if they can do anything about that. I have surgery next Thursday, and I don't want to be unconscious and start coughing and get asphyxiated or something. It wouldn't be good. So yeah, we're going to try to curb that cough. Anyway, other than that, I'm doing great. And it is our Tuesday night when we're always here.
Well, after last week's episode and part of the week before, I think it might be appropriate to give everybody an update on what's going on with you specifically in relation to your diagnosis.
Okay, I can do that. Um, so just a quick recap, and let me preface it by saying that on my TikTok channel, I am doing a cancer journal. So I am very grateful for people who have done this that preceded me in diagnosis, because I don't know about you, but I hate the unknown, and especially when it has to do with like hospital and surgeries and things like that. So being able to, listen to other people's experiences, while I know it's not necessarily going to be mine, it helps. So I decided that I was going to do the same thing. So you can go see that. It's on my TikTok, which is in the description of the channel, of this channel. And it's in its own playlist. So you don't have to search for those. It's all in a playlist. So anyway, excuse me. Um, so just real quick, I was diagnosed. In November, I had a mammo that was suspicious. They called me back, and I was uh, diagnosed December 8th. They did a biopsy on the 4th. On the 8th, 4 days later, they gave me the diagnosis that I have breast cancer. It is stage 1. So it's not the absolute best. Absolute best would be 0, but it's darn close. And it's a grade 1, which means it's not aggressive. It is invasive ductal, which means it's broken out, and it's, and I do have a strong family history. So, there's concerns, but I am having a double mastectomy next Thursday, and I am not having implants or flaps or anything done like that. No building back up. I'm doing, my reconstruction will be what's called an aesthetic flat closure, which means that they take all the remaining tissue, which isn't much, and they kind of rearrange it. And they try to get a really nice flat closure with a little bit of contour, just so you're not concaved or anything. Back in the day when they didn't do this, you could have like scooped out chest. They don't do that, and they try to make it really nice. I probably will have to have a revision surgery, so maybe one more surgery. Hopefully that's it. I chose this for a lot of reasons, and it's personal to everybody. For me, it had a lot to do with the fact that I wanted the cancer out of my body, and I wanted my breasts gone, because one already turned on me. I'm not keeping the other one around to do the same. So I wanted it gone. And the reconstruction was because reconstruction, number one, when you put implants in your body, I mean, I'm not going to put implants in my body when I'm getting rid of something that's made me sick. And getting sick from implants, especially when you're doing it as part of cancer treatment, is a high probability. And there's a lot of people who go through a lot of surgeries. I mean, a lot, like maybe 10 surgeries in a couple of years, and still end up having to have them taken out because they can't stop being sick. So, I just didn't want them. and I just didn't want to put tissue from my body back in there. I just didn't want to. So flat made sense for me. So that's what I'm doing. And then after that, as long as the pathology comes back the same, which it might not, but hopefully it will, um, I see the oncology doctor a week later, and hopefully I'll be on the medication that they give you, uh, and it's like 5 or 10 years you stay on it. And I have a whole plan, and I'll be talking about it because it's got a lot of side effects. So I want to not have those side effects. Um, so yeah, that's where I am.
Well, that all actually plays really well into tonight's topic, at least the
Oh yeah,
female half of it, right? Because we've
yes.
gone from uh, basically a certain size to the lowest possible size, which is not at all.
No nipples even.
Right, and we're it's odd. I mean, of course, we're mourning, your breasts, and it's upsetting and it's traumatic, but also strangely enough, we're both kind of looking forward to it as well because, you know, there's always a silver lining, right? So now you'll be able to wear things you couldn't wear before, and I don't know, I don't want to tell everybody for you, but you're doing something special, aren't you?
Oh, I am. So I am, and my doctor's given me permission to start about 2 to 3 months after the surgery. I am doing a full chest tattoo that's going to cover, which is one of the reasons I opted not to do reconstruction on my nipples because you can do that. And I weighed that. Do I want to do surgery and have the nipples put on, or do I want to do tattoo, which would cover the whole scar? And I knew if I chose the tattoo, there's no point in doing the nipples. You won't be able to see them. So, and I did decide I wanted the tattoo because I'm much more interested in covering the whole scar. The scar is going to go completely across my chest and under my armpits. And I'm way more interested in that, especially because if it's not aesthetically perfect, which why would it be? It's a scar. The tattoo's going to help camouflage that, and it's going to look beautiful. And I've always wanted, and I've tried to figure out where to put it, but I have always wanted a Gothic cathedral or a church. My tattoo artist was like, "Tell me what a cathedral is," which I thought was funny. I mean, the man is like 40 something. How does he not know a cathedral?
Is a
So
Protestant.
so yeah, a Gothic style church with the steeples are going to come up high into the collarbones, and then the middle part will be low. That way, I can wear V-necks and you won't even see it, or I can open it up and wear it even further open and see it. My choice. And then it's going to go all the way to the side, and then there's going to be vines that come up the sides, which I think is really nice. I was going to do dragons, but I was already thinking, too many dragons. I already have dragons. And then when I mentioned it to my artist, he's like, "Don't you think that might be a little too many dragons?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah. See, I'm glad you said that because I was thinking that." So it's going to be vines, which I think is sort of cool because their significance of life, right? Their growth, their life, their living things. It's a vine growing up the castle, or not the castle, the cathedral. So it's kind of cool. And there's not going to be any color in it. It will all be like my other tattoos. They'll be grayscale or black and white. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
So I guess to get back to the segue, I have never, and you know this about me, I've never been a boob guy. So this isn't, traumatizing for me in the same way that it is for a guy who grew up, watching Dolly Parton and feeling some kind of way, and looking at Playboy and just all of the Western typical aesthetic of a big-breasted woman, right? I mean, that's kind of the ideal in the West and in America. Um, is women with large breasts tend to be the bombshells, Marilyn Monroe, Dolly Parton, Jane Mansfield. Just so many iconic women in Hollywood and in music are known for their boobs, their breast size.
Although I do have to add in here one thing, because of course, me being the one going through it, I'm going to have a lot of, kind of like mind fuck crap, right? And one of the things that I know will come up, because it has already in my mind, is the fact that Mike has referred to me as like being a blonde bombshell before. And he's referred to me as like being this, like big sexual, being. And of course, you think of the boobs with that, the boobs, the curves, all the curves, um,
Excuse
and those are going to be gone. so so that's kind of there's a lot of mind stuff I'm going to have to deal with. He works very hard. He really does to show me that while he may have said that and he may have felt that, that doesn't mean that he's always been that way. It was me, and of course he appreciated what I had, but he's going to appreciate what I've become as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've never been a boob guy, but I absolutely was drawn to your shape and your beauty. And so now your shape is changing, but there's also plenty of either flat chested or very small breasted famous women. Oh, Goldie Hawn's daughter comes to mind, Kate Hudson.
Yeah.
Fiona
Meg Ryan.
Apple is another one, and they tend to be thin women usually, but it's just another way of appearing. It's often not what you have, but how you carry it, right? When it comes to
Yeah,
your figure.
I I agree, and that kind of is the way I feel about the whole "does size matter" question. You hear that all the time. Men will ask women, "Does size matter?" And of course, they're referring to themselves. Um, and women will ask that about them. And when women say it, they're not just talking about breast size; they're talking about body size. And usually it's more the body size
Right.
than the breast size. That's what they want to know. You'll see if you go on to X or anywhere where you can see just posts, you'll see that question posed a lot. There will be a picture of a chubby girl or a picture of a real skinny girl or both, and they'll say, does size matter? Or if I look like this, would you love me? Or so that's kind of, and that more, and I'm not going to break into what we're talking about yet, but that is, I really want to talk about that, because that is all about the image, the perceived image that women have in their head of what men are looking for because of the way that we're raised in Western society. And we'll get
Yeah,
to that.
it does. It bleeds right into that whole Western ideal of what a beautiful woman is supposed to look like, what the ideal woman is supposed to look like, right?
And that's
Um,
so crazy because it's like ideal woman, that in itself is self-explanatory. Ideal to who? Ideal to the person beholding you. You can't tell somebody what beauty looks like to them. They get to decide that. But women are raised, and men understand this because men are raised with certain crazy thoughts as well. And women are raised in a society where it's shoved down their throats what a ideal, supposedly quote unquote ideal woman looks like. And it's usually not them. It's not them. If you're talking about an average woman, it's not them.
yeah, we have a
uh,
question from
excuse me.
KRA11NH. Do you think thick is a compliment? I'm on the fence and have been called thick,
I do. I think it is a compliment. Um, uh,
especially when it's spelled with two C's.
well, that's true.
THICC.
I had somebody, back when I was on cam all the time. I used to get a lot of guys, and they'd say I had a fat ass. And at first, of course, I was offended. I'm like, I mean, I know I do have a big, and I'd say that I know I have a big ass, but geez, could you be polite about it? I mean, gosh. And then they would explain to me, no, it's fat, PHAT. I'm saying it's nice. Oh, okay. And I think the same thing happens with thick. When most men say you're thick, um, I don't think they mean fat. If they meant fat, they probably wouldn't say anything. Um, they mean you're thick, you're hot, you're curvy, you look good. Um, so so Kristen, I think you should take it as a compliment for sure.
And if a guy is called thick, that's definitely a compliment, right? I mean,
Well,
if we're talking about girth, so.
if that's the way they're referring to it,
Well,
you could be talking about their body as well. I have referred to men as thick plenty of times, and I'm not talking about that.
no, not talking about girth.
I'm not. No, I am talking about their body, and I'll say when I talk about what type of man I like, I always say I prefer a thick man. Um, excuse me, I don't like a skinny guy. I don't want. Excuse me,
Thank
I don't want a
God.
muscle bound guy. What?
I said, thank God.
Yeah, I don't want a muscle bound guy, but I don't want a skinny guy. I like a thick guy. I don't mind dad bods. I don't want it to be carried away. I definitely want somebody that is comfortable. Hey, if you are thick through the middle, if you have a belly or whatever, as long as you're comfortable with it and it doesn't get in the way of our intimacy, I am fine. I will love every inch of you. But and I think men feel this way too. Because it's all about confidence in the way you carry yourself. If their woman is heavy and she won't get naked, she won't have sex with the lights on, she won't let him touch her because it makes her uncomfortable. She doesn't let him touch her in public because it makes her uncomfortable. All those things because she's lacking confidence and has bad self-esteem because she's put on weight. That is very unattractive to a man after a while. And he would much rather she love every inch of herself and give herself to freely in every way that he wants, because to him that's extremely attractive. And a man's not going after you because he thinks you're fat and he's just it's all you're all I've got. No, that no, they actually are attracted to you. So yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. As long as my guy, I don't care his size as long as it's not impeding what we do intimately. And
Body
and we
size.
all
Yeah. Body
yeah,
size.
we all know that if somebody gets tipping the scale over 300 pounds, it doesn't matter who you are, unless you're like 6'7". Um, you are getting to a point where when you try to be intimate with your partner, it is uncomfortable. You're short of breath. You can't get into certain positions. You can't do what you want to do. It's frustrating. You get angry and upset. You're not comfortable. You're probably not going to be intimate as often. And men tend to lay on their back, regardless of whether they like a woman on top or not. They tend to lay on their back and let her do everything. It's not because they like it, it's because they're uncomfortable. Um, and a woman knows. I mean, after a while, it's like, hello, we do nothing else. I mean, that's why.
It's because I
So
can't do nothing else, babe.
yeah, right. And so I don't think a lot of people have as many problems with body as much as people think. I really think what it comes down to is more about longevity and healthiness and activity abilities and all of that, and your own self-confidence.
Well, and like you said, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And so the answer to the question, does size really matter, is going to vary depending on the individual and what they're attracted to, obviously.
Right, right.
I've been with very thin women and I've been with very large women and found myself attracted to both body types at different stages of my life. That's why I'm like, I feel, and it's maybe a little easier at 50, than it might have been at 25. But I've had more experience with different body types throughout my life. And so, the idea of uh, just you, for example, going from a D to a nothing to a zero would not probably bother me as much as it might bother a young man, especially one who looked at a lot of porn, was caught up in this kind of westernized ideal of women, that we see in Hollywood and music videos and Playboy. So I think a certain amount of wisdom, comes with age, and with that comes flexibility, adaptability. You learn to adapt to things throughout your life. Um,
And that makes me so sad, because there are so many women in their 20s and 30s that get breast cancer and have mastectomies, or they have the gene that mutates, and um, they prophylactically get it, preventatively get their breasts removed. That makes me so sad for them. Um, and the thing is, they do it and they don't give a thought. as they should. They should not
Yeah,
care
no,
what
but
a
you know what
man thinks.
shocked me was when you told me about some of these forums that you've been on with these poor women who have, you know, and I don't mean poor women like, oh, poor baby. I just
No, I
mean
know.
that, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to them. They actually have men who freaking leave them
Yeah.
because they had a mastectomy
Yes.
and they were in love and there was attraction and there was a lot of sex and then all of a sudden nothing and I'm out of here. It's like, oh my God, who raised you? You
And a
know,
lot of these are older men, like
Ugh,
in their 50s. It's
who should
like,
know better. Yes.
yeah. Um, and there's all kinds of stories out there. Sometimes it has to do with the fact that they lost their breast. Sometimes it has to do with the fact that the husband feels like he became a caregiver and not a lover anymore. There's lots of reasons. They're overwhelmed. They can't take the stress. I mean, there's lots of reasons, but the ones that are the saddest are the ones that do it because the women have no longer have breasts. And even if they get reconstruction, what these women go through to get this reconstruction, and it almost never turns out to look as good as you want it to, because you don't have a lot of tissue left to do that with. So you get what you get. And these men, to have the audacity to look at a woman who's been through that and to say, yep, nope, that's ugly. Put
Yeah.
your shirt on. you
Yeah,
know,
I just don't get it. It just
yeah,
seems like such a lack of character.
yeah,
And it's what's sad to me is how prevalent it is. I mean, you've seen a lot of stories like that, you
I
said. So
have. It is. It's terrible. And it makes me very grateful for Micah and the fact that, it's funny because, we haven't been together that long. And a lot of guys
we're going
would
on
probably,
5 months. That's yeah, it's
yeah.
not real long, but I feel like it's, a good start.
Yeah, but to get this, disease and to have to go through this and test you, and it doesn't even seem to be a test for Mike, you know it's more, I don't know, he's just, yeah, he is a I've never met anybody that's like him. He's
Oh, stop.
a
You're
very
still you,
impressive.
you're still gorgeous. And you're gonna rock a flat chest. I just again, I'm not supposed to be excited about this, but I'm kind of excited.
It's a
We
new
get to
adventure.
face a whole new chapter of you together. So
Yeah. So getting back to, uh does size matter? So I think that this question, myself, I think it's more about body type than, it's, uh, boobs and penis. you know.
although now you and I, right, are both familiar with the dating apps, and the adult dating apps. And that is something that a lot of them ask, is what's your
Well,
cup size? What's your penis size? And
yeah,
so it matters to enough people that they make that one of the caveats.
but that's, so that is the adult sites, the people that are really highly sexually active, and I
Yeah,
don't
but
mean.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that it's necessarily all freaks. I
No,
think
I
that
wasn't
there's
going to say that. I wasn't going to say, sure, there's some of that. But no, I was going to say people who are, and I'm not saying they're out there sleeping around. I mean, there's like, excuse me, I went on that site not because I was looking for multiple partners. I went on that site because I am a very active person, and I wanted
not
somebody who
me.
matched me in that way. And I wasn't finding it on the regular sites. And I just wasn't finding somebody that was compatible to me. So I thought, well, maybe I'll go on those sites. I'm going to have to be very careful. And I was, my profile was like nobody else's that you're going to see on there. I was very clear on what I was looking for and what I wasn't looking for. And
Yeah, I didn't
um,
see a whole lot of I'm looking for my person people on there for sure. So
right, and that's what, and I said it straight out. Like, I am here looking for my person. You may think that's weird, because most of you are here looking for hookups, or or people that you're going to go to lifestyle parties with and things like that. And I'm not. I'm looking for my person, and I want somebody who is very laid back and very sexually compatible to me. So it has to be something that is important to them. And it was just, it was the place for me to look. But yes, on those sites, that sort of size does matter.
Okay. So let's go outside of that, right? It's still, I think, and probably more for men than women, very prevalent that at least, even if it doesn't matter in general to most people, most women, I think most men think and they believe that it does
I
matter.
agree. I agree. Men think that
And
it
a lot of
matters.
that probably has to do with porn. They've been looking at
Yeah.
huge guys like Ron Jeremy and, John
Yeah.
Holmes,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's just not realistic. I looked up some statistics. I know you're not big on that, okay? But the average length, fully happy length is 5.16 inches.
Well, men aren't realistic about that. Men don't want to hear that. Men don't think that's true. They
Well,
don't
they
think that's
always
accurate.
tack
Although
on a
when they
couple.
do hear that, if they believe you, they're very happy about it because they're more than likely falling within that category.
Right.
What
Well,
what you
exactly. So the simple fact is that most men, 90% of men fall within average range, which
right
average is better than small, right? But if you were to
right
ask a guy, if to be honest about it, well, no, I'm average, even if he
yeah
is small, which would be considered what, like 3 or 4 inches, which
yeah.
only like 3% of guys have members that small. So,
Kristen, um, I agree with you. If you are on a regular dating site, okay, and somebody comes at you asking you those kind of questions, totally lacking class. Totally. I mean, you know what? I am a very open-minded person. I was looking for a certain kind of person, but if they came out the door with that, I would have been like, okay, you're not for me
swipe
because
left.
yeah, because you are just here looking for a hookup. And if you're not looking for a hookup, I don't know. I don't know, just not for me. That is something that even someone like me who's very open-minded builds up to, you know. Now, if I'm on an adult website that caters to people who are in excuse me, like the lifestyle or, something out of the box, nothing's going to surprise me and I'm not going to dare to be offended. I put myself out there. But yes, in the mainstream stuff, absolutely. That is not something you should just be throwing around. Um, yeah, totally lacking class. I agree.
I agree as well. But to get back to my statistics real quick, 90% of men, don't forget this, men, 90% of us are between 4 and 6. So
Yeah,
just
I
bear that
think
in
that
mind.
that's something that men know now. I mean, I think that's been thrown around quite a bit in the last probably 5 years or so. I mean,
Yeah, but again, and I think it's probably mostly younger men who, have have to deal with this. They're looking at porn all the time, and that's not the people who get paid to do porn. It's not average men, it's above
well,
average.
you know what? Maybe they should get their freaking heads out of the freaking
Ah,
porn.
maybe.
You
And it's
know?
the same thing on the female side. A third of the women in the world have A cup or smaller. So
Yeah.
if size matters that much,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute, though. That is true.
Mhm.
That is true. But how many men prefer D cups or at least C? And if and we'll get all self-righteous
Well,
over the
yeah, and like I said, I think that's kind of a Western thing. It's the
yeah, but
ideal.
I do not think from being in this business, from talking to people for the last 4 years, I do not think women look for men who are well endowed. I think women like average. And so when you weigh uh this whole men wanting big boobs and women wanting a well endowed man, it's a
No, I agree with
misnomer.
you. I think that men are putting pressure on themselves to be bigger, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I mean.
women are
It's all
not
about the
putting
men.
women aren't putting that pressure on men, but men, I think, do put pressure on women to be bigger.
Exactly.
Even
It's
if it's
all the men.
indirectly, it's the men who own the clothing designing companies and the movies and the music and the magazines. Men are pushing this ideal of a woman, and women are trying to reach that unrealistic ideal from the time they're very little. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's completely lopsided for sure.
Yeah, it's all about the men. The men are the problem. The men are the problem. The men think that they aren't endowed enough, yet the women are like, "You are great," but they never believe you, and because they watch porn,
Right.
and the men want bigger boobs, and
Whether
the
they admit it or
women,
not, right.
yeah, and the women are like, "This is me, and I'm freaking hella sexy," and the men are like, boo, too small. Go get a boob job. Here's $5,000. I'll pay for it. You know, and it's the men. Men are the problem. Sorry. Let's see. I'm having reduction surgery, and I can't tell you how many men ask why. Oh yeah, Kristen.
Oh my God, why? How could you do that to yourself?
I
Yeah.
have no doubt. Yeah, it's like you try carrying these around and see how your back feels after 30 years. I mean, geez, really? Just so you can look at them in a bra, just so you can touch them every once in a while. I mean,
I
geez,
mean, that's something we haven't really touched on a whole lot. How big is too big? When does breast size become, just too big?
that's subjective because there are men that love too big. Now, too big to me would be anything over a double D. And it also depends on the size of the woman. If you've got a tiny petite woman, if she's bigger than a B cup, it looks wrong. Um, I think a full B looks great on a petite little woman. And an A does too, because of their physique. Anybody that's not petite and tends to run more to 5'8", 5'9", C's and D's. If you're an even taller woman, maybe, or a larger woman, a double D. Anything beyond that is getting crazy. And there's women who have natural sizes that are really large, and like Kristen said,
And
uh,
good luck with your surgery, Kristen.
yes, absolutely, Kristen. Good luck with your surgery. But these women don't, they don't appreciate that. They don't want them. They, after 30 years of living with them, they're like, please remove these. And insurance companies pay for it because you actually do get shoulder and back problems. Um, so if insurance companies will pay for it, then there's a problem. I mean, a real problem.
Now, on the other side of the coin, and I'm only bringing this back up because you already kind of mentioned it, how big is too big when it comes to guys? Or is there a such thing?
I think absolutely there is that, but again, it's subjective. I think there's some women, not many, but I think there are some women who are like bigger, bigger, bigger. I don't care if I can use it or not. They're just crazy for bigger, bigger, bigger. What, it doesn't matter. Um, but I think that your average, your majority of women are probably. I mean, they probably would say 9 is getting too big. Um,
And Ron Jeremy famously was a man. So, you know,
So yeah, I mean, all these people who are like, oh, he's 10, 12, 13. Okay, I'm running the other way.
good luck with that.
Yeah. I mean, I look at people like that and I've literally asked, I'm like, can you even use that? Like to the full extent? Like a guy who's 8 or 7 or 6, he's in heaven. He gets, all the way there, you know? And, and I'm like, dude, you don't ever get that. Probably hardly ever. Um, So it's sad, Uh, can you have a penis reduction? Because I'll bet there's some men out there that probably wish they could.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. That doesn't sound doable.
No, no, I don't think
Not
so.
without like messing up some plumbing or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah. So as far as you know, does size matter regarding our body parts? It's subjective. It's definitely driven by society.
Yeah,
Um,
culture, pop culture, the media.
and it shouldn't be. It should be between, that's part of the vetting process of finding somebody that you're compatible with. If a man likes a woman who's a C or bigger, he's not, excuse me, he's not going to seek out a woman who's quite obviously, an A. Um, unless he's that kind of guy that would like to talk her into getting a boob job. And there are guys like that, just like there are men who are feeders and
And
like to
I
see
don't
boobs.
want to shame anybody, okay? What you like, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's reasons for that. And you're a human being, and human beings are complicated. And
Hey, there's somebody for everybody. Okay, there are
but at the
people.
same time, I also have this gut feeling that if that's all that matters to you, you're probably a shallow dude, like,
No.
yeah, hopefully that's not all that matters to you. It may be big on your list, but if that's like the main thing you're looking for, you might want to lay off the porn a little bit, dude. I don't know.
Right.
But again, if that is your thing, then more power to you. We don't kink shame here, but
So I want to talk more about, because I want Mike to talk to us from man's perspective on the way that women are so hung up on thinking they're not good enough, that they'll never live up to the ideal that a man today and for a long time wants. They're always feeling inferior, and I'm making blanket statements. Obviously, this doesn't apply to everybody. Some people are so well adjusted and they could care less. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about, girls growing up under this illusion that they have to look a certain way because they see it on TV and in magazines and what have you, and they see their male family members or their friends or on TV
oh, Kristen, bless
oohing,
your heart.
huh?
Said Kristen, bless your heart.
Oh, they see them oohing and awing over, certain things, certain way women look, the way women dress. So girls are
Okay, I want
raised.
to answer that real quick from a guy's perspective. Okay, and there are two main schools of thought here. Uh, the main one, the one that's prevalent, unfortunately, is that yes, all that matters. There is an ideal that we're all looking for in general, and most of the time it's is their big boobs, a thin waist, nice hips, but not hipzilla, nice tuchus, but not flat, but not too big. So I mean, there is like this really kind of specific Western ideal of what a woman is supposed to look like. But there is another school of thought, and I think I tend to probably lean into this a little more, but maybe not so much when I was very young, and learning. And that is that they say, can we say pussy on this show? I just did. They say that pussy has no face, right? In other words, it's all pink in the middle, right? So that's the other kind of crass but honest school of thought, I think, with guys at least in the lumberyard, right? That's where I cut my teeth in the workforce. Is that it's not as important as men think it is, right? Did that come across right? It's not as important as women think that men think it is.
Right. So we as women believe it's very important to men, and it's not as much as we think it is.
No, Carlos Mencia, God bless him, said once during one of his shows, "Why is it that I can get off no matter how ugly you are, but you don't know how to work your own stuff?" Guys, I think just if they connect with a woman and there's an attraction there, they're not so hung up on is this the right size? How does she look naked? I think guys, once they feel like they're in there, for the most part, not all guys, and especially when they're younger, they tend to be more selective when they're younger. But guys just want to fuck. Sorry to be so crass. I hope that the older listeners aren't clutching their pearls and running for the hills. But I mean, that's in my experience, right? And I'm kind of
Well,
a
I don't think you're saying anything that's surprising to anybody.
right.
Um,
We're all adults here, right? Unfiltered. So
it's called Unfiltered.
yeah.
Um, it will be unfiltered every once in a while. And this topic is what it is. And I think you're right. I think that men in general, okay, I hate to say it like this, but come on, we all know. We say it all the time. Men will F anything. Anything. And if they can't stomach it, they'll put a bag over her face. It's a joke, but it's how they are. Guys can pretty much do stomach anything if they're going to get what they want, especially physical satisfaction. That's just how guys are. That doesn't mean that they want to look at you for the rest of their life. That doesn't mean that they still don't have some sort of ideal in their head of what they would like to settle down with or be with day after day after day after day. They do. And some have very unrealistic ideas. Some think that they're going to get these airbrushed women off of magazines, and they continuously get disappointed, continuously. And then a lot of them will see their airbrushed woman without the airbrush in person, and she doesn't look the same. And then reality comes crashing in, and they realize that they have been passing by some tens because they thought they were fives because they weren't airbrushed. You know what I mean? Um, and that's just the way it is. That's just some guys like that. But there are a lot of men who are realistic. They still have their ideals. Everybody has their ideals, but they're much more realistic ideals, and achievable. Yeah.
Well, and I something we haven't really talked about yet, but it happens in long-term relationships where a young couple starts out in the prime of their lives, right? And they're both in great shape, and then life happens, right? Pregnancy happens, age starts to set in, bodies change, and if size matters to you when you're younger, hopefully when reality starts to set in, and yeah, you may take great care of yourself, but eventually you're going to start hunching over and getting hairy and getting wrinkly and all the things. And hopefully when that happens, it's not going to rock your world to where you're, either cheating or looking elsewhere or not being as intimate as you should be or could be. But that's, a sad fact of reality for some people is that they base so much on the physical appearance. And again, I think porn really plays into that a lot, particularly for men, um, that when things change, they can't handle it. And that's when a lot of cheating happens. And I think that some men justify it to themselves. They'll say things like, well, she let herself go, and she doesn't try to look attractive for me anymore, or things like that. I've heard men say things like that. And I'm sure that some women do as well. Like you should have seen him when he was 18, but look at him now, So again, if size matters, why does it matter? And if it does matter, does it have to matter forever? And should it really matter?
Well, I guess it depends on in what context you're talking about the size. Um,
Well, so we can't usually change our penis or our breast size too much, right?
but that's what I'm saying. If it's that because I introduced other topics, other things that are size, like
Yeah, I'm talking more about body size.
okay. Um, well, and again, if you're talking weight or waist, we can work on that. We can fix that. We may not be able to get rid of it entirely, but we can certainly work on ourselves and make it better, or at least make our activity levels and flexibility better. Um, but if we're strictly talking our genitals, that the intimacy parts, um, I think probably a lot of people, it may even, especially like women, it may even get worse when they get older because if they are still sexually active, which a lot of women turn about 45 and pretty much lose interest. A lot of women lose interest. And it's usually hormonal, but they embrace it. They like it. They like this new stage of their life. So they're okay with the fact that about the same time, well, it's actually not the same time, it's a little bit maybe 10 years later, the man will start having his own issues with age and not achieving things
Right. Testosterone is lower.
right.
Energy levels not as high. Right.
Right. So but if a woman goes on hormone therapy and she's still just as active as she ever was and she expects that from her partner, I think for her size will always matter until the day that the activity levels changes. And as long as she's on hormone therapy, it's not going to. Um, and her partner, unless he gets on board, he's going to go through the natural changes, and he's going to stop. Um, I mean, his activity and desire might be there, but his body will not cooperate the way it used to. Um, and there are pills and things, so there's a way to take care of it. But the point is, I think it does matter to some people, and I don't think it ever will stop mattering. And I think that there are men who it does matter to. And when their woman gets to a certain age and her breasts are not full and firm anymore, he's coughing up the money for a lift because he's like, I want them back. I don't like this. Um, so I think it does matter forever for some people.
Yeah, but I don't think it matters as much to as many people as the internet and media and society in general say that it does. Because
Maybe.
then would anybody be screwing, after 30? It's like, I don't think it matters as much as people think it does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at the divorce rate,
62, 65. I think it's somewhere between 60 and 65%. Yeah.
that doesn't speak highly for it not mattering.
Right, but
Because
how much is that to do with size? I think a lot of that has to do with economics more than
okay, well, also
physical things.
when
But
we're talking about size, I mean, we sort of it's not as simple as just size. We're talking about getting older and things not working the same and not looking the same, and does that matter anymore? And I think for some people it does. And I think that one of the reasons people end up giving up on their relationship, it's already, it's losing its luster, and they've been together for 30 years, and then they have to deal with the changes and the aging, and they decide, one of them decides, they don't want this relationship anymore, and then a year later, 2 years later, there was somebody 10, 15 years younger, if not more, um, because it mattered. And when they found their relation, they probably said to themselves, okay, I'm going to start dating again, I'm going to look for a relationship, but damn it, that's not happening again. And the only way that's not happening again is to find someone younger than me. By the time it hits that person, I'll be dead. So you know so I don't know. I think true love can conquer anything, and I do. I'm that, romantic person who believes that. I just don't think that people wait around long enough to find true love. I think if they would, that they would find a person that, yeah, even if it mattered in the beginning, it mattered to both of you maybe, and certain things were important to you, and as you grew and you changed and you
right,
loved
well,
each
it's a
other.
different size that matters now. It's the size of your heart. It's the
Right.
size of your pocketbook. It's the size of the amount of time that you spend with me,
Right.
and going places and things like that. So,
Right. And I think if you either have a good friendship relationship, or you have a true love affair, you will be fine, and you will adapt and change and grow and love each other more and in different ways. And for those people, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It mattered when it mattered, and it doesn't matter now. And they're okay with that. They don't feel like they've lost anything. They don't feel like they're missing out on anything. They've adapted, and they do things in different ways. I'm sure those type of people probably still are very active and intimate with each other, just in different ways. Things look different, but they're still satisfying, and they're still together. But unfortunately, that's not the majority of couples out there.
well, it is. It is, right? Divorce rates between 60 and 65, that's still a majority, right? So, monogamy, yay. Monogamy works 60% of the time at worst, right? So,
Well, 60% of the time, 65% of the time are the ones that are divorced, isn't it?
right, that's the divorce rate. So, okay, you're right. When it comes to cheating, those statistics and the ones we never find out about, right, are probably much higher because they're not reported, right? So,
Yeah, I think most people that cheat don't answer those surveys. you know. So yeah. Uh,
my computer
um, I lost Mike. Sorry, guys. I am going to continue. um, let's see. We're almost done. We've got about 15 more minutes. But so yes, I think that the divorce rate um, is higher, and it goes back to the whole reason I believe that this even happens. Excuse me, that we end up in relationships where, when the changes start happening, we don't adapt well, and we end up divorced, or just absolutely miserable with the wrong person, is because it is the wrong person. We don't vet people. We don't get together for the right reasons. We don't take the time to figure out who we want and what we want and go after it and stick to our guns. We don't do all that. We tend to go out, look for somebody, find somebody that we're attracted to and just, you know, take off from there. And we do not, um, take the time to say, no, I'm very attracted to you, but you're not the right person for me. Most people won't say that. Most people, they don't like saying that because I'm attracted to you. He's hot. She's hot.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't see you. Um, yeah, so I think that we get caught up in the attraction that we have for people, and then we end up married. And when we start going through these things and these changes, we're not able to stay together. We can't adapt to each other. Um, so I don't know what's going on. Mike is playing.
Ah,
Okay, case management. There you go. Everybody gets to see. uh, um,
no, no. There
okay,
is it.
I'm back.
Yeah, okay. I mean, all I see is my initials, but for
Yeah,
some
for some
reason, it's
reason,
not
for some
letting my
reason,
camera work right
your
now.
video's not on. Sorry. Um, we're almost done, guys. So you don't get to see Mike's beautiful face. Sorry. um, so yeah. Anyway, once again, it all goes back to finding the right person in the first place. If we would just do that, I think we could get through anything. And I think that if we find the right people, we don't have to worry about all those societal things. Size matters, and idealistic looks, and how much sex you're supposed to be having, and just all the things that society tells us is what we're supposed to be doing. I think that we need to throw all that out the window and just you know decide what it is that we want in a relationship and in a person, and then find somebody that's compatible to that. And don't be afraid to walk away when they're not, because more are going to not be compatible to you than will be compatible to you. And you have to be willing to walk away, no matter how hot they are, no matter how much you love her boobs. You got to be willing to walk away if they are not meeting your criteria, if you will, of the type of person you want to be with, because it freaking matters. I have had people tell me, hi, Mike. I've had people tell me that is such crap. I mean, my ex co-host, he hated that whole, you know, um, uh, me telling people that it was so important to look at somebody before you decide you want to keep them, that you want to have a relationship with them. Look at them and be honest with yourself. And you can't do this unless you have had a hard look at yourself and determine what it is that you want in a relationship and what you're capable of giving. You can't do that until you have that hard talk with yourself. It took me a good year of figuring it out before I realized what it was I wanted. And then once you realize it, you gotta stick to your guns, and you have to seek that person out. And you have to be willing to be disappointed. People are going to tell you, yes, that's me. Yes, that's me. And they're not. And time will tell. You're going to have to be willing to risk your heart, and be disappointed. But the payoff is great, because eventually you do meet the person that you're seeking. And then when you give yourself to them, 20 years later, you're still with them, and you're facing all of these challenges together. And it doesn't matter. Maybe it mattered in the beginning, size mattered, but it doesn't after you're together for that long and you're actually in love and you're compatible. It does not matter. But it will break you if you're not with the right person. It will break you.
Oh, and when does size matter may come down to, if you're in this kind of relationship that Christine's talking about, it may come down to, is that person uncomfortable with themselves? Do you want to encourage them to work on their size? Are you uncomfortable with yourself? Are there medical problems involved? Can you maybe take better care of yourself for the sake of your loved one, if not for your own personal, health and safety? So sometimes when it comes to body type, at least size may actually matter, right? And then you have the opposite end of the spectrum, where is someone anorexic? That definitely matters. So there's a lot to consider, when it comes to body type as to whether it actually matters or not in general. But does it matter to you personally what size your person is? If we're talking about
Right.
this kind of relationship that Christine's talking about, and the ultimate answer should be no. That person is what matters to me. The way they think, the way they react to me, the way we
Yeah.
are, act together.
And there we're all human beings, and we all go through changes. And if we're lucky enough, fortunate enough to be together through ages, we're going to see changes. Most people have changes, and most people have fluctuations in weight and various things. Even healthy athletic people can get injured and end up putting on 20 or 30 pounds or even more while they're recuperating and have to work to get it off. It happens. We're human beings. We're fallible. It is what it is. And do you love that person enough to love them through all of that? And if that breaks you, that wasn't your person. I mean, come on, right? I mean, you're not going to do that to your person. You're not going to tell your person, hey, you put on 30 pounds, go away. I don't want you anymore. No, you do want them healthy, but you're going to approach it in a loving manner. You're going to encourage them, and you're going to let them come to their own decisions.
No,
Um,
and that to me is those kind of people are cut from the same cloth as these, I'm sorry, assholes that are leaving their wives and girlfriends because they're getting mastectomies. It's like,
right.
really, what the hell did you get into a relationship with this person for to begin with? Was it really that? Is that going to be the deal breaker for you? And
Yeah.
so, and I think I've even told you, jokingly but not joking, is that, what, put on 200 pounds. We'll figure it out. That'll become my new normal for a while. And, if you're happy that way, I'll figure out a way to be happy, but I don't think you're going to be happy. So,
No, and I think that's key. If you love somebody and they're your person, you will adapt. You will figure things out. But if they're not happy and it's affecting your personal life together because they are unhappy, then you're going to have to figure out a way to talk to your person and encourage them to get happy, and that you're going to be there for them and help them get healthy and
and if
happy.
that means snatching cookies out from in front of them after 8 p.m., that's what that means. So,
If
yeah,
that means
we're
being a
working on it.
nag and telling your person at midnight, no, go to sleep.
Haven't you
You're
ever
not
heard of a
sleep.
midnight snack? Come on.
Right. No. No. I always say, and I tell everybody this, I tell my kids, everybody, look, if you're okay with the way you are, that's fine, but don't complain anymore. You only have the right to complain about things if you're willing to change it. If you are not willing to, and that doesn't mean that you can't have a growth period where you're trying to figure it out. That's fine. But if you've been complaining about your weight, for example, for a year,
Something that is possible to change, not necessarily diabetes or cancer.
well, or okay, my ex-husband, he had a knee problem. He was fully aware of it. He would not go to the doctor. He would not take care of it. And I finally told him, and my family got so mad at me. It's like, how could you talk to him like that? I'm like, bullshit. I have been telling this man for 5 years, go to the doctor. I'll make the appointment. He wouldn't do it. Now it's time for him to shut the hell up. If he's not going to take care of it, then that's right. He might be walking bone to bone, but he will smile while he walks bone to bone. I will not listen to him complain one more minute. Why? It's called freaking, okay, being at the end of your rope, and also tough love. And that shit works. Why would you enable somebody? And it's the same thing with food. If somebody is going to put on, or does put on 50 pounds and they are happy as a pig in shit, okay. Now, if they're unhealthy and they're going to die, it's detrimental to their health. That's a whole different game. But if they are happy and it has not affected your life together and they're not complaining about it, okay. But if they are getting up every day complaining, and they have 2 plates of food in the evening and then they have a midnight snack and they're complaining, and it's affecting your life, uh, no, no.
Well, is that why you wouldn't make me a Idaho taco at midnight last night, but you did make one for me this morning?
Yes.
Oh, you love me. It's tough
I
love.
do. I
Yes.
do. You know, you say you want to lose X amount of weight. All I say is don't eat after 8 p.m. Just try that. You won't do it.
It's tough. It's tough. I have a second.
It is.
My hours are. I work late often, but
Anyway,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just
When there's a
saying.
will, there's a way. Does
I'm
size
just
matter?
saying.
That's the question of the evening. Does size matter? Yeah, sometimes it does, especially if it matters, to you for your own size, right? So
Right. Size does matter depending on the context. And the truth is, it probably matters in all contexts. But, how much does it matter? And does it matter the way you think it does? I think we've pretty much covered the fact that most of us, men and women, um, have misconceptions of what the other person thinks, what the other gender thinks. Yeah,
you probably think it matters more to them than it really does.
exactly. Exactly. So relax, everybody. Just
Let us know
relax.
what you think. Contact us. Give us show ideas. Let us know how you're doing. Send Christine, some good vibes about her upcoming procedure on the 22nd.
So,
You can
guys, we
reach us.
will. Sorry.
Yes. No, you can reach us at. I was going to say, yeah.
Realtalkwithchristine@gmail.com.
Or shitlesspodcast@gmail.com.
And it will be in the description. And I was just going to say, we will be here on Tuesday. My surgery is on Thursday, but we will be here Tuesday as usual. I have no idea what we'll be talking about, but
Oh, have we got a show for you?
Really?
Well, I thought you might do it topless since, they're going to be gone in a few days after that. So, no?
That's not happening.
Okay, well, that's a different show. All right.
All right,
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you for the support.
Thank you for being here. If you were here live, and if you're listening on rebroadcast, on recording, join us. Come to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we have
Tuesday.
some good conversation, even when there's not a lot of people. We get a lot of good feedback. So, Kristen, thank you for
Yeah,
chiming in
Kristen's
today.
always great for giving us great comments and questions.
Owen, we miss you. Come back, talk to us.
I don't know where Owen is. I actually talked to Owen today, but he's not here. But anyway, thank you for being here. If you weren't, and you want to be 7:30 Eastern time every Tuesday, we are here on our YouTube channel. Come by, say hi.
All right.
All right, see y'all next Tuesday.